Submission Radio here with Jason Knight, brought to you by Musashi ahead of UFC 214 and the action-packed fight with Ricardo Lamas that, by the way, everybody, we were talking to you before this interview. Everyone's looking forward to this. This is definitely a highlight on the card. Before we get to that, let's talk about the situation in the room. We know there's a TV going. There's some games going. Talk to us about this preparation because we've met some of your team. Everyone's cool. There's a guy with an awesome mustache. There's a good vibe in the room. The real sort of sense of camaraderie. What are you guys getting up to leading into this fight?
Man, we're like a family, you know. We've got the Nintendo Switch. You know, I play Mario Kart, try to get my hand-eye coordination down, you know.
Do they let you win? Is that a situation where they want to build up your confidence going into the fight?
I kind of get my ass kicked all the time, but, you know, I mean, trying to stay on the track and stuff, you know, got to build up a little hand-eye coordination. And hell, we played the whole time for my last fight, and then I went out there and I TKO'd Chad Skelly, so we decided to kind of keep the tradition going. We got 6 people in one room. I guess I'm not a big enough star for UFC to give me all my rooms yet. You know, I think that I should at least get 2, but yeah, we're gonna work on that. Hopefully, I'll go out here, beat Ricardo Lamas, and then afterwards we'll be able to split these people up a little bit.
You can demand it afterwards. You'll have the penthouse in your next fight. And just quickly on the room situation, you were saying before you had a bit of a TV situation. The TV wasn't working, and you have a sneaky, cheeky plan to find a way around that. What exactly did you do?
Yeah, man. We always every fight we bring in like the Fire Stick or some kind of laptop or something, and we'll hook it to the TV, and we'll study all of my opponent's fights on Fight Pass. Well, this time we go to hook everything to the TV, and the TV is not compatible with all of our devices. We call downstairs, they tell us that, their TV is not compatible, they're going to get somebody up here to fix it. Nobody ever shows up, and we decided, hey, let's go to Walmart, we'll go get a big 50-inch TV, use it all week, and then once we get ready to leave, we'll take it back to Walmart. I got the receipt in my wallet, so at the end of the week, Walmart's getting a used TV back.
You can sign it as well, and then whoever gets it next is like, oh shit, Jason Knight's TV.
I was going to say, it's a sneaky plan. You can actually make a bit of money. You have a huge performance against Ricardo Lamas, and then, I don't know, maybe we can get some fans to the lobby, do a bit of an auction for the TV. You sign the TV, maybe play them in a game of Mario Kart. There's money to be made here, Jason. Speaking of money, we hear you have a few new toys back at home that you've been playing with, some ATVs that you've been riding around on. Talk to us a little bit about this, because apparently you don't have one. There's a few that you've purchased.
Oh man, I've got 5 or 6, but man, growing up all my life, we never really had money. If I wanted a four-wheeler, if I wanted to ride a four-wheeler, I better go to a buddy's house because mom and dad, they couldn't afford that. And we always struggled growing up, but now I'm 25 years old and I've got the opportunity to go out and get these toys that I want. So I'm getting to do the things that I wanted to do as a kid, and that's my nickname for a reason, the kid. It doesn't matter if I'm 75 years old, I'm still gonna watch cartoons, I'm still gonna go out there and play on a four-wheeler or whatever, so I've got a Razor 800. My fiance, she's got a Razor 800.
Nice.
That's the buggies, the side-by-sides. Well, then I've got a 350 Honda Rancher four-wheeler, a 420 Honda Rancher four-wheeler, a Foreman 500, and a Foreman 450, so I got enough so that way, me and my whole family, we could get out there and play, because they're still, in the same boat as I was before I made it to the UFC. They don't really got the money for all that. So, I made sure that I had enough to where, hey, if I want 10 people to go ride with me, all 10 people's jumping on and we're going, and if something gets tore up, then hopefully I'll have the money to fix it.
You like the Cowboy Cerrone of the featherweight division, and I guess that kind of answers my next question. Obviously, the fiance doesn't mind that you're blowing all the money on all these fun toys and showing everybody a good time. Any crazy stories from your buggies and any adventures that you had?
Man, probably shouldn't say this right before the fight, but yeah, man, about 3 weeks ago, something like that, I was riding my buggy, and I was out there hauling ass and tearing shit up. Well, then I slowed down, I'm done with acting crazy, and my front right tire falls off in the hole and I bust my eye. So I had probably a spot that needed a couple stitches, put some super glue on it, and I was on about my business, But
Did you go to a doctor about it, or was this a home sort of
this
fix?
was I wasn't done mud riding, so we fucking super glued it up and went back to mud riding. But it's healed up nicely. Pretty much 100% healed. If it busts open in the fight again, it's on the side of my face. It's gonna run down, not gonna get in my eyes. And I mean, you've seen me get cut before. It doesn't bother me, so I'll be all right.
Was there a brief moment when it initially happened that you were like, "Uh oh, this I may not be fighting UFC 214"?
Man, the thing is I had a girl on the side of my buggy. It was one of my sister-in-law's good friends. She's in the passenger seat. And when I hit my eye, she looks over like I'm about to die. She's like, "Oh my God, it's so bad." And I get there and I've got a cut this big. It was a little deep, but it was like this big. And I'm thinking, whenever she says it, I'm thinking that half of my face is peeled open, but it wasn't really that bad.
That's hilarious. And, not blowing all your money. You're a great family man. People don't know that about you. You've got a wonderful family. You've got the house, which is almost paid off as well. So you've done really great stuff with the money, and it's great to see you having fun with it. And just like Cowboy Cerrone and a lot of other fighters, it's kind of like you have to have fun. You got to do your own thing, because if you just sort of wrap yourself and don't do what you want to do, the performances don't really come out like you'd think they would. Yeah, man.
The way I see it, I got in this sport to have fun. And that's what it is to me. I'm having a blast doing this. I love it. I'm having fun all the time. And if I have to put my everyday life on hold and I can't do what I want to do in life, then it's no fun for me anymore. So I'm gonna keep having fun and keep doing what I love to do, and try my best not to get hurt in the process. And I feel the same way Donald Cerrone does. You can't put your everyday life on hold for this. This can't be the only part of your life that there is, So I'm just going to stick to that and see where it takes me.
You're a guy who's had a great run in the UFC so far. You mentioned fun, and that's kind of one of the things that people think when they think of Jason Knight. Do you like the way you've progressed in the UFC so far? You've kind of, initially you started flying a little bit under the radar, but now slowly but surely people are really starting to take notice. People are ecstatic the fact that you're filling in for Korean Zombie and taking this Ricardo Lamas. Do you like the way you've progressed so far in the UFC?
Yeah, man, I definitely do. I've worked my ass off to get where I'm at. And I believe that, I'm one of the elite, and I believe that I'm going to go out here Saturday night and prove that. And over the last year, I've gotten so much better, man, because the Jim Allers fight, that was right out a year ago in Chicago. And all the way up until 2 weeks before that fight, I was out building houses, and about 2 weeks before the fight, I told my boss, hey, look, I'm going to take off and train as hard as I can for these last 2 weeks, so that way, I can hopefully do as best as I can. Well, I go out there and I get that big bonus, and I finally got to quit working. Since then, the bonuses keep coming, the fights keep coming pretty steadily, and I've been able to stay out of work, been able to do what I want with my money and still be okay. And I hope the same chain keeps going, and I keep moving up those rankings and keep beating guys. If I beat Ricardo Lamas, then I'm right there where I want to be, and that belt and everything that I ever dreamed of is right at my grasp, and all I got to do is go take it. And I think if I keep getting better and better, being able to train as much as I want to, and not having to go to work, then nobody's gonna stop me. Nobody's gonna stop me if I keep getting better. I might win one or two. I mean, I might lose one or two here and there, but that's just a roadblock. It's just a speed bump. It's not something that's going to stop me forever. I'm going to keep pushing like I've always done.
Let's talk about this matchup, because it's a great opportunity. Ricardo Lamas is a guy that for a really long time has been considered as one of the best guys in the division. He's well known. He's fought some of the biggest names in there. He's had some huge wins. And this is really a huge opportunity. We spoke about the card being a great card as well, and your fight really being one that everybody's looking forward to. So what are your thoughts on Ricardo as a fighter and what he's been able to do?
Man, I think he's really tough, and he's been really impressive for a long time. But, man, me and my camp, we pick guys apart. We study them down to a science. We try and figure out what they're going to do and get ready for it. Try to figure out what I've done wrong that they're going to be trying to pick out, and I try to correct my mistakes. I try to capitalize on his mistakes. And he's great. He's an awesome fighter, but I see him as very beatable. He makes a lot of mistakes that he does over and over again. He's got these same patterns that he does over and over again. I'm going to go out there Saturday night and I'm going to try to capitalize on that. And in my opinion, my time is just now beginning. His time's is coming to an end. It's not saying that he's washed up or anything, but I believe I'm one of those elite. He's only lost to the elite, and I put myself right up there with those guys. And, I think what makes me elite, what makes me such a great fighter is I'm never satisfied. I always want to keep improving. I always want to get better. And, that's what I'm going to do. I don't care if I've got that belt around my waist. I'm not going to be satisfied with the same thing with everything that's already working. I did that for years. Before I got to the UFC, I did it for years. I went with what worked for me, and it won me a hell of a lot of fights, But at this level, you can't stop improving. GSP was the man. He did that so good. No matter how good he got, he could always work on something to get it better. And that's kind of a role model for me as far as the way to train and improve is just no matter what, just don't stop trying to find new ways to make yourself better. And I believe that sets me apart from a lot of these guys.
You're obviously going in here with a great mindset, but we also read how you were calling out, not really calling out, but you're looking to call out Cub Swanson afterwards. There's other guys that you're interested in. You're sort of aiming to potentially have a couple of fights and then fight Max Holloway. So you're a really goal-orientated, driven guy. Because you're so excited to obviously go up in the division, is it hard not to overlook a guy like Ricardo Lamas when you've already got these, further out goals?
I'm not overlooking Ricardo Lamas by no means. I'm saying simply, what if situations. I think about those situations. I'm going in this fight to win it. That's 100% in my head. I'm going out here and I'm finna beat this guy. And I've always said, hopefully I get him. Hopefully I win. I'm going to give it my best. I've never said, hey, I'm going to go whoop this guy's ass. But I am here to win. No mistaking that. I'm here to go out there and take what's mine. And I believe this fight is mine. And I'm going to 100% go out there and give it everything I've got to impose my will and be the winner. But yeah, I'm definitely looking past him. I want to, I'm not, my main goal right now is beating him first. But I've got that in the back of my mind. If I beat him, then I beat Cub Swanson. And I believe both of those fights are very winnable for me. Beat Cub Swanson, and then all they can give me is Frankie Edgar or Max Holloway. So, if I beat Cub Swanson, then I either get a title shot or I get Frankie Edgar. Because Jose Aldo, he's still in the mix always. But I honestly don't think that Jose's going to fight again for a while. So, I'm just kind of throwing him out the window. But, if they call me with that fight, I'm happy with that too. I want to keep moving forward. I want to keep, climbing that ladder further and further until, I got that belt wrapped around my waist. And even then, I'm just going to keep fighting them. I do this for fun. Like I said before, it's not because of the money. It's not because of the fame. I could give a shit less about all of that. Of course, the money's great. The fame's great. Fans screaming your name all around the world, that's great. Big paychecks, great. Paying shit off, that's great. But, I will fight anybody in this world tomorrow for free and be happy to do it. And that's just my mindset. I want to keep doing this for fun, fight as often as possible. Even if I got that belt around my waist, I want to fight them as much as I can because, this is what I love to do.
We're going to grab your prediction for the fight in just a second before you wrap up. But if Cub Swanson was watching this, if Max Holloway were watching this, what's your message to the division? Because, a lot of guys like Cub, like Max, they may not be as interested in fighting a guy like you because you're coming up. There's a lot for them to lose. What will be your message to the division and to the guys if they're watching this?
Keep your eyes on me because I'm coming. No disrespect to none of you, but you're all in my way. You're stopping my dreams from happening, and the only way to stop you from keeping my dreams from becoming a reality is to get past you. And each one of y'all, you're a step for me. Whether it's a step backwards or a step forward, I'm coming. I'm coming to try and see if I can't take that step forward. So just keep your eyes out. Go ahead and study me if you want to, because I'm studying you.
And as we let you go, Jason, what is the official prediction? You're going up against a veteran like Ricardo Lamas. Are you the type of guy that visualizes fights? Do you like to go in there and just sort of see what happens? What does it sort of play out like? What does it play out like in your mind?
Man, I visualized the fight 1,000 different ways. You know, I visualized me knocking him out, you know, getting a TKO. I visualized me stopping takedown after takedown, getting him tired, and, you know, winning with a TKO, or me catching a submission. You know, just every little situation, I see me getting my hand raised. I don't see him beating me. And, you know, the only possible outcome in my mind is me getting my hand raised. You know, one of two things can happen. I can either get a submission or a knockout, or I get my hand raised in a hard-fought decision where we'll probably get fight of the night. But, you know, losing is not an option. You know, if it happens, it happens. But in my head, I'm a winner already, you know, and that's the way I'm going to go in this fight, looking, you know, this guy's in my way. I got to knock him out of the way. You know, he's the next big step for me to achieving my next dream, my next goal. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to fight him with every fucking ounce of everything I have in me, and I'm going to leave it all out there in that cage and, you know, show the world that I'm for real.
Well, when he's not racing ATVs like he's in a real-life game of Mario Kart, he is getting ready to fight at UFC 214. Guys, make sure to check out Jason. Jason, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck on Saturday. We can't wait to see this fight. It's truly going to be a great one for the fans.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. For those of you out there, you know, watching this, go on social media and give me a follow, man. I don't have nearly enough followers on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any of that. You know, on Twitter, it's at JasonTheKid23. Instagram, at JTKTheKid. Facebook, Jason the Kid Knight. Go on there, hit the like button, hit the share button, get the word out. Jason Knight's trying to get some more fans. You know, I know I've got fans around the world, but I see guys with 15, 20, 40,000 followers, and then Jason Knight's got 6,000. What the hell is going on, man? Why ain't y'all follow me? I mean, have I not excited the world enough? You know, I'm going to keep doing my best to try and make y'all happy. If you like me, good. If you don't,
well, we have a feeling there's going to be a lot more followers after Saturday night. Thanks again, Jason.
Thank you. Yeah, have a good day.